Hello and welcome to VIDEODRONE, a podcast about movies and TV and pop culture, hosted by a couple of cute little Aussie boys. My name's Ben Vanel. I'm joined by my co-host Tommy Daslow. How you going, Tommy?
I'm going good, thank you. And joining us today, we've got a cute little Aussie. Well, I don't want to assume.
Wow. Okay.
Please welcome.
Very progressive.
Well, you know, in light of Amelia Perez's
Oh boy.
victory lap,
Oh la 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 la.
we have Jen Fricker.
Hello. It's very nice to meet you. To talk about.
Oh Lord.
I think I sent you guys the best TikTok I've ever seen, which is Miss Piggy and Kermit reenacting that scene.
Yeah.
Pig to frog, or froggy to pig.
Having the brain where even just the things where people will take, like, keep seeing this one of Matilda lined up with Not Like Us from the Super Bowl. Having the kind of brain where you see a big cultural moment and immediately you go, I know what this is going to look perfect over the top of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which beloved 90s kids film does this fit? How are we, fam? Have we
Good.
recovered
We're good.
from the glitz and the glamour?
Oscar's hangover.
Yeah. We'll go into depth on this, I think, on the bonus ep, but I fucking loved Conan as a host.
Ah, so good.
Just, I reckon the best one I've seen in 10 years. I can't remember one where I haven't been cringing the whole time.
Yeah, it's crazy how it seems like such a weird idea to just get a really good, beloved professional comedian to host it.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
It's very odd. Even like the opening with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I was like, at first I was like, what is this corny shit? And by the end I was genuinely tearing up. Like I was like, this is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I've seen like bits and bobs, but like two things about, like, I think it was like the cold open where it was the stage manager knocking on his door and going, okay, Conan, 5 minutes to showtime.
Yeah.
And he's like doing the substance, which is a little bit like, kind of,
It's very Billy Crystal.
it's very first draft, like, okay, the substance is the big movie, so Conan did the substance.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's not Mr. Show, it's the fucking Oscars. Like, of course,
yeah.
probably the most top-line approach is this is the place for it to live, and it's still like a super funny guy doing it, so that's fine.
Yeah, it's also his thing. Like I think there's like Emmys maybe or Golden Globes from like 15 years ago where he does like the opening is all the TV shows of that year that he like kind of drops in on. So there's like
Right.
The Office,
Right.
and Girls, and things like that. I think that's just his thing. But it's
Yeah.
it's just got to be like broad and funny.
Right.
Yeah, but what I thought that was going to be, because I don't know if you've ever watched his the cold open from his very, very first episode of Late Night, where it's like it's him walking down the street and it's people being like, a lot of pressure, Conan, don't mess this up. And he's like, thanks. And then he's like whistling away, and then he's in his dressing room and he's just like fixing a noose up in the roof. And like, guy comes and knocks and goes, Conan, they're ready for it. And he's like, he just is, for some reason, is like, well, I mean, if the show's starting right now, I guess I can't kill myself.
Yeah.
I'd better go out and, like, what doesn't really track. But just the setup of the guy walking down and knocking on the door at the start of the Oscars, it's kind of got the same kind of rhythm to it as that Late Night opening. And I was like, this is so funny if he's doing a callback to this thing from, like, 30-something years ago.
That's so
Just
good.
him tying up the noose.
Kicking off the Oscars with a suicide joke.
Yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But instead, in a way, it was kind of more grim. Just him crawling out of a body.
But yeah, what do you think of the winners, Jen? Who were you happy about? Who felt like a snub to you?
I'm pretty happy generally, honestly. Honora winning's like so cool.
It's
Yes.
great, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like, again, I really do, I say this all the time, but I truly hope that independent cinema comes back in a way that inspires people to, like, make more freaky shit. The thing I like about Sean Baker, first and foremost, he's a letterbox user, okay?
Yes.
Yep.
He's on there, he's logging, he's saying, don't comment on any of my shit. He's like, I just use this to log, I'm not here to talk to anyone about film.
Yep.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
love it. But I think he loves really weird and transgressive shit. He watches, the stuff he watches is fucking weird, but he goes and he supports it. And I'm like, that's dope. Like, someone who actually you see them making the effort to invest in the community around them, and then wins an Oscar and talks more about that. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think Mikey Madison was great. I think the thing as well is, like, this was a weird year because we've talked about this again, but all of the films were, like, all the major films everyone was getting nominated for were incredibly different. Like, it is so weird to, like, have a Best Picture category with Wicked Part 1 and Anora and Dune 2 and The Brutalist and a complete like, it's so, how do you compare literal apples to oranges?
That's a good point. A part 1 and a part 2 both being nominated.
And it's like, you know, they're trying to they've updated, like, the Golden Globes categories, so it was like most commercially fucking profitable movie that Wicked won. And so it's like, they're really going, like, cinema's dying, so we have to celebrate people who actually get people in, like, even if it isn't, you know. But I don't know, I think overall pretty dope. I think No Other Land winning, someone actually talking about the fucking genocide on stage. That's crazy. And not instantly getting booed. Like, there's been so many, like, Oscar scandals in the past where people have talked about Indigenous rights on stage and been booed. You know, so I think, like, that, all of that kind of is good. I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. What about you fellas?
I liked it. I did, like, sit down and watch it live, or at least most of it. I think about the time the James Bond tribute came on, which, like, big Jeff Bezos funded ad, I have to assume.
Weird.
Because, like, there's no Bond film coming out anytime soon. But so I kind of muted it after that, but then, like, I had seen The Brutalist, and so I was very happy for Adrian Brody. Again, muted that speech about 7 minutes in. But
apparently it took him 6 minutes to get to the stage.
Crazy stuff.
And it broke a record for it's the longest acceptance speech now, I think.
I think so,
I saw somewhere or something,
That's
awesome.
And, like, man, you've already won an Oscar. Get off the stage. But I think he also was pretty, like... Because, like, that whole movie is about the Holocaust and persecution of, you know, like, an entire ethnicity. And he, I think, was pretty much like, it's time for us to work together and love each other, and we shouldn't be, you know, persecuting. So I think that was good. That was amongst, like, the 25 minutes of other stuff he said about himself. But, happy with that win. Love Mikey. We kind of knew Zoe Saldana was always going to win that Best Supporting, despite, like, having really good competition in really good movies. And also Kieran Culkin was kind of guaranteed, right? From, like, months and months and months ago. He had that in the bag.
I mean, I haven't seen the film, but there just is something funny about the pageantry of just this, like, guy on this just run where he won. Did he win every award show that he was nominated in? I think he did, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
He won the sweep of supporting actor awards, which is cool one way or the other, but also then the narrative of him being up against his brother character from Succession who just takes it so fucking seriously. And he's up there, like, I read an opinion piece that was like, I don't know, does he deserve to win for an acting award when he's pretty much just being himself in that film? Well, he really is, like, Larry Daviding it.
There was, like, this thing of, like, it's category fraud, because really he's, like, the co-lead of a real plane. He's not necessarily a supporting actor. And I do think about that where I'm like, because I wouldn't necessarily call Jesse Eisenberg the lead. Of that film.
No, I probably would have called Kieran Culkin the lead of that film. Like, he has most of the emotional work. Is it
that thing where you put someone in because they're going to have a better chance? Is that kind of what it's?
Yeah.
Okay. That is weird that it's not like a more prescriptive, like, you know, the Academy deciding, like, what's the
which was still a competitive category. Like, Guy Pearce, I thought was great. I forget his last name, but Yuri from Anora plays Igor.
He rocks.
He was so fucking good.
Jen, this might not mean anything to you, but Ben, last night I was walking the dog and I ran into my friend Nick and I was like, "Hey, did you watch the Oscars?" And he's like, no, but I'm heading home tonight to watch the real Oscars. And then I noticed that he was wearing a yellow hat that said the Victorville Film Archive on it.
Oh, wow. An On Cinema boy.
Yeah,
okay.
the On Cinema Oscar special, which I got.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got to make time to watch them both back to
I know,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thankfully, you can watch the On Cinema one on replay, so I'm going to watch that this week too.
Damn. Maybe I do. I've got like a long train trip this week. Really trying to plan my transport. I did the Perth trip the other week, and that was good. Locked in some stuff. I do have the Brutalist available to me, so I feel like maybe I should just like go for that on the 3-hour train trip.
That's
The
not
romance
bad.
of a film on the train, screen here,
Yeah.
then like 90 degrees this way, you just got the beautiful view whipping past.
Yeah. There's
That's a
no
setup.
Wi-Fi or phone reception on the train either, because they're all
Yeah.
built in the 70s, so they're solid tin cans.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, that's the good shit.
So I'm kind of like, I could just lock in. So Brutalist, I'm thinking about going in on.
You
Maybe
don't
I'll
want to
do
go
On Cinema.
themic. You don't want to go like Snowpiercer or something like train related.
Ooh, Train to
yeah.
Busan.
Watch Thomas the Tank Engine for 8 hours.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think I also, it's a different podcast, but I'm really going in on Hello Kitty Island Adventure at the moment. So
Oh, okay, there you go.
yeah, it's
There you
hard.
go.
It's hard. We're in an attention economy, guys.
Yeah.
So everyone's screaming out for my attention, and I just have to bless them with it.
You need that Netflix programming that tells you what's happening while it's happening, so you can focus on Hello
have you
Kitty
seen-
Island Adventure.
Mulaney's doing a series now of Everybody's Live. So remember he did that Everybody's in LA live specials?
Yep.
Everybody's Live starts this week. And I was looking on Netflix at it, and there's a little thing that says includes ads.
Huh.
Huh.
And I'm like, didn't y'all just like hike the fucking subscription right up?
Yeah.
How are you
Yeah.
giving me, and you're just advertising ads now as part of your fucking programming?
Interesting.
good.
I wonder if they're like joke ads or like them.
I reckon it's probably just sponsored segments, right? Like,
Oh,
yeah, that might
yeah.
be it. Yeah. Which is fine if they're doing something with it. That's all right.
if it's funny, but if I'm literally having to watch fucking ads, I will be. I mean, look, I barely pay for my subscription anyway, but like, you know,
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
mad. I'll be
I'll be
furious.
tweeting about it. Don't you fucking worry.
Yeah.
I'll be on Threads.
Oh, create mode will be getting an absolute run from me.
Oh no.
I am one of the true fiends of create mode, honestly. It's my last refuge on the internet.
Yeah, I never use it.
I deleted Twitter in 2018. And I
Yeah,
think
nice.
about that a lot. I'm like, wow, where could I be if I just stayed on? Probably a Nazi.
Spiraling.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely spiraling.
Absolutely spiraling. But yeah, create mode. I love to go off because you're only
Yeah.
going off for 24 hours or until you hit a certain amount of viewers. So
Yeah.
and then it carries itself quietly off into the night.
Yeah.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. A little bird. being released from
Something
its cage.
beautiful about like having seen something on a story and going to show a partner and being like, oh, you got to check this out, and then being like, oh, it's gone. Like, well, I guess you'll never know. Some
I
of
guess
us were
you'll
there.
never know.
Some of us were there, and some of us weren't. And,
Exactly. It's
I
better
guess
than
this
Twitter
is
because
always going to be a rift in the middle of our relationship where
I guess I
saw
have
it and
secret,
you didn't.
Yeah, I have secret knowledge. You don't.
Well, you are a
Interesting.
real performer, Jen. You could say you're a showgirl.
Hey! I am
you-
a showgirl in that I am old, comparative to my colleagues.
Old and busted, but you still got a
Busted,
heart of gold.
huge tits. I'm allowed to say it.
Thank you for taking that one.
Yeah. But a heart of gold. Yeah, Tommy and I saw The Last Showgirl separately because Tommy got to see it in one of the greatest cinemas in Australia.
Yep.
FOMO.
That's
And
right.
I just
Yep.
saw it at janky fucking event cinemas, Bondi Junction, which I hadn't been to in maybe 10 years. Like, I'm sorry. I used to be an usher at the cinema, not that cinema. And I saw like last week event cinemas in Miranda and Sydney got like done for having mold all over the seats. Someone like filmed the site, like row after row of just mold in the seats.
Oof.
I walked into this one, I was like, this smells like piss. This smells like piss. This is fucking crazy. And
Not to go too hyper local. What's the cinema that's in Newtown?
Dendy Newtown, yeah.
Yeah, I've been to one there, and it's pretty rank in there.
Yeah, that's keeping Newtown weird, is what that was.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Big time. Some freak stuff's going on there, and you have to go with that. They play the Underground Film Festival there. You're seeing weird shit there. Okay. You know what I mean?
Well, I went to FOMO, and the screens weren't working. They're like ordering screens, so I had my own version of that.
That is so funny. Isn't that like the whole point of the fucking experience?
The whole point. And it was
and you pay extra for that, right?
Yeah, and you got to link your phone. And so I'm doing I'm pushing the thing on the tablet, linking the phone, and it's going connected, but then it's just disconnecting after a second. And so I'm just in this loop where I'm like, I can't get it to stay connected for long enough to order a fucking drink.
Yeah. I need my boozy milkshake.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok the other day, and on my algorithm, for whatever reason, I'm getting a lot of like women in their 20s being like, I'm taking myself on a date. I'm pushing myself to go out alone, which good for you. Like, I know for some people that is quite a difficult thing, so good for you. And they took themselves on a date to FOMO, and they were like, oh, this place is wonderful. Yeah. And it's crazy. I had the whole cinema to myself. I'm like, really?
It really is. It really is wonderful. I ran into a friend of the show, Ben Russell, out the front of the cinema.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, get this. I'm walking along with Lauren, and he comes up behind me. He's got his big bag of groceries. Hopefully this doesn't dox him, but he had a big thing of celery in there.
Okay.
And
we all know what that means.
He comes up behind me and he goes, busted. I thought you hated FOMO cinema. Busted. I'm like, that's not me. That's Ben. And he goes, no, it's you. You said you hate it. I'm like, I'm the most proud FOMO lover there is. We've talked about this multiple times. Yeah. And he really, it kind of stayed with me for most of the movie. Just him really feeling like he'd gotten one up on me. I'm like, no, you're misremembering. I've never, it's not like I've even come around on it. I've liked it from day one.
Yeah.
And then you've got his ass because you just dragged his celery-loving ass all over this damn pod.
Everyone knows.
Yeah. But then, interestingly enough, I go in there and the tablet won't pair, and I'm like, this place fucking sucks.
It rocks. It rocks so hard. Having the toilet near the exit, so far away from the screens.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's incredible.
Now they've had to put a big, this is new since I was there last, they've had to put a big sign up on the toilet saying, this is not a public toilet. Don't you love that? When it's like, you can tell a place is just, they've had to act because it's like, people keep coming in off the fucking street. Yeah. Which if you're there at that little popcorn counter, you've got clear view of the door, the stairway that leads in. And so you are really able to see people just
walk in, not make
up those
contact.
Stairs, hit the toot, straight back out.
Bomb the FOMO and then head out. God, I love that place.
Yeah.
So I feel like that fits really nicely with the theme of The Last Showgirl, which is kind of like run down, like seen better days. Perhaps a little out of touch with the outside world. The story of Lost Showgirl, Pamela Anderson starring as Shelley, who after 30 years of being in one of these kind of tits and ass showgirl stage spectaculars with the big feathers and the Diamante brasiers, is shutting down due to low attendance, and just kind of how that throws her life into disarray. And her sense of identity and how she's linked to that, and as a woman in her 50s, how she is going to handle that.
Has kind of given up her life to this thing that a lot of other people in her life are like, this kind of sucks. Yeah. What is the point of this? But to her, it's like, it's the most important thing. Yeah.
And she turned down other opportunities, we learned through the film, to do this show. What did you think, Tommy? And factor in the FOMO screens not working.
Factor that
into your overall score.
Yeah.
Did it add to the ambience of the film, or did it detract from the ambience of the film?
Yeah, I think it's cool when reviewers take stuff that was just kind of happening around them in the real world and level that as a criticism of a piece of art.
The aircon was too cold. Oh, thanks, Sydney Morning Herald. I'll pop that on the next poster.
Yeah, I chipped my tooth on the glass.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Yeah, it's quite short. It's I don't know. It kind of really follows the path that you would follow for like a film like this. It's very by the numbers, this kind of film. I thought the score was fantastic. I really loved the stuff about the relationship with her and her daughter. I thought that was all so sad. I loved Dave Bautista in it. Did not expect to like him so much.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'll let you run, but yeah.
I did like it. I think it's a kind of a weird one where I was probably liking it a lot more as I was watching it, and then since getting out and thinking about it a bit more, I'm like, yeah, it was fine. Like, it was maybe missing those couple of little things to really like, tip it
Take
into
it
the
over
next
the edge.
level. Yeah. What did you think?
Loved Dave Bautista in it. I think he's so good. And like, it's nice to see him doing these little character actor roles. Like, I hope he does more. Gorgeous wig, grey curls, framing the face beautifully. A little razzle dazzle. I know, it all felt right. The costuming and stuff. Kiernan Shipka in this, I knew she was good from Mad Men, but also what she does in Mad Men is obviously like she's a child, so it's you don't see her have these huge emotional moments, although in the later seasons obviously we get a bit more insight, but she's not got a lot of screen time in this. And I think there's one scene with her and Pam where she's at the door just asking for help, and I don't know, maybe it's just like she just knows how to like deploy those gigantic eyes of her. But there's just, she's so, like, the way she just communicates what a character feels so effortlessly with minimal dialogue. I'm like, this is fucking good. Like, this is a great performance. And then Pam, I was like, Pamela. I was excited to see her in this. I don't think her character, I found it tough because I was like, I don't think we learned much about her character really beyond the initial kind of thesis of the film. So I was like a bit like, this is really good, but I just don't feel this moving anywhere. I don't feel like I get to know her much more than initially. Like, she loves the show. She's sad about the show closing. She doesn't know what she's going to do next. And she sacrificed a lot. That's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. In terms of like dialogue, I found it really janky and weird, unnatural. I loved the Jamie Lee Curtis character. I do kind of feel like it went a bit like grotesque. Like, sometimes I feel like Jamie Lee Curtis in her choices in her like recent projects, even the guest episode of The Bear that she did.
Yep.
Sometimes I'm like, go dial it half a step.
Right.
Like in The Bear, she's like, I'm freaking Italian all the time. It's like, honey, you are the whitest white I've ever seen. But like she's like, I'm making a fish. I hit you with that. Like, it's crazy. And in this,
she might have taken the wrong lessons from Everything Everywhere All at Once, right?
That's kind of what. Yeah. But on the flip side, this is a film about aging. It's a film about women who used to have currency from their looks,
right,
finding where they fit in the world when that currency is no longer valid. And I think a lot about Jamie Lee Curtis in the 90s and how like she was so hot. Like, she was and she was cast always as this like just kind of like fucking hot bitch all the time. And so it's interesting, this kind of bookending of like her career now, where it's like she's in these films about aging, and she's always wearing like a prosthetic or something, or a goiter, like just hanging out of her fucking neck. Like, and I don't know, maybe that is like a reflection on her personal thoughts or like the choices that she makes about characters. But I just felt like, I don't know, for some reason she just has like this insane wig and like average British woman makeup, which is like white lipstick, orange tan, like just like, I don't know, it just felt, everything else felt so naturalistic, and then just visually that really clanged for me. I don't know, Tommy, what did you think about that?
I don't know, you're right. I guess I didn't mind it, but yeah, it is a weird one, because as I say, I think like at the time I enjoyed watching it and I walked out and was like, oh, I really like that. But I guess even just now, a couple of days later, it does feel like, kind of inessential. Like it's just missing that next little bit. And as you say, like the themes and what it's saying and everything, I think especially, you know, there's so much overlap between something like The Substance and what it's saying in that same kind of way, but does it in a way that is like, it kind of demands your attention and is, you know, a lot more like, just has kind of more depth to it. Like, I think I think Pammy's good in it, but it's not like, it's not an amazing script, and it's not like it's a, you know, that before the FOMO thing where they love to play a little kind of on theme, sort of package before the movie, and the one for this was the late career renaissance, so they're showing little bits of like, you know, the wrestler and, you know, those kinds of ones where...
That was the one that was jumping to mind for me. That is like... Obviously, it doesn't have the sort of the gender dynamics, and like you say, with The Substance, it explores, you know, aging for women in the spotlight of show business in such a more interesting way, for me at least. And then The Wrestler is like, this story of sacrificing everything for the thing you're passionate about. And that is a movie that, like, it really fucking hits you in the gut. Like, I love that movie, and it's such an emotional film, which I don't know, it doesn't sound like this quite hits the same highs.
It nearly gets there. Like, but it's a lot more like, just her daughter at one point saying, you sacrificed everything for this. Yeah. Including me. Like, it's still... Right. Like, it's portrayed really well, and it is, like, heartbreaking, but it just is, like... You know, it's just a bit more of, like, a person just saying that to them. Right. You know, rather than you more so, like, seeing the effects of that.
Yeah. Right. And so it's just, like, it is just a lot of... and some real janky ADR in there too, which I was a bit like, and just weird. Like, I've seen other people complain about the composition of shots where it's shot on film, gorgeous, nothing's in focus. There's like one, it's like really weird. Like it's just, there's a lot of like kind of video music style like shots to like people walking, like Pamela Anderson just looking beautiful in the sunset.
Yeah, it's a bit of that. Her just,
or like walking and like dancing over music you don't see, or talking to herself in the mirror, sliding down a wall, and like, and it's just a bit, like it's a bit where I'm like, man, I just would have loved to learn more about this character, like other than she's kind of fucked her life. Like what happened, the more interesting thing to me is what happens next, and we just never learn that.
That's a good point. The whole thing of just like this 2-week period where the show is closing down and her just being like, oh, what now? Like, I will say the one thing I loved about it was the score by Andrew Wyatt from Mike Snow, and who also worked on the Barbie score.
Oh, sure.
Oscar winner.
I think it really is like so often with a film like this, when I'm like, I loved it, I realize like the score is doing so much of the heavy lifting.
Right.
That does so much for the mood and tone, and like it would be a much worse film without that that kind of weird sort of melancholy, like kind of jazzy at times. There's like a couple little pieces in there that are so nice.
I recently watched over the weekend A Different Man. Have you guys seen that?
Love it.
The score in that is incredible. The score tells you so much about how the character feels about the world, that it's so intrusive and cacophonous and just like an assault. It brings like so much pain to you as like a viewer. Whereas, and this, I think you're right, Tommy, like it's just like, this just adds a bit of like, it's so minimal, but when it's there, it is like quite haunting. Like it's like wind through like an open window. Like you're just kind of like, ooh, like that doesn't feel right.
Yeah. It feels like so much of this, it is just like kind of really a vibe piece of like, hey, the old like Vegas Strip, this old era of like a bygone showbiz thing that's really run down. And then it's got this weird kind of dreamlike score. It's kind of, I liked all that stuff about it. You know, that with like the most like immediate stuff about it. And then, digging a little deeper. Like, I don't know, some interesting stuff to say, but stuff that we've seen maybe said a little better in other places.
I think if this film was released 10 years ago, people would be like, this is a masterpiece.
Right.
Yeah.
This really says something. It, to me, feels a little outdated in terms of indie cinema and what people are doing now around these conversations and around like intimacy and people's relationships with their body and being an artist. I mean, I will say I think there's some really nice things that it says about being an artist, which is like the kind of sacrifice and the loneliness that people feel. But yeah, I just never, I don't know. I think I saw a really great film last year called Animal, which I think maybe I've mentioned on the podcast before. It's a Greek film about an island resort in Greece, a tourist resort, where it's got an in-house team of performers and they're all kind of shit. And it's kind of a post like lockdown. There's not as much business on the island. Everything feels kind of lived in, run down, but there's still like a journey for these characters, especially the main character. She's a dancer. She always thinks that she's capable of better things, but she stays on the island to like kind of be mistreated by these tourists. And I just think like we're just lucky that we're in an age now where this kind of storytelling is done really well, that unfortunately this just doesn't meet that standard anymore.
Honestly, in a year where Honora comes out, which is about a stripper and a sex worker, The Brutalist, which is about, the sacrifices you have to make for art. The Substance, which is about aging in the light. Like, it couldn't have come out at a worse time, honestly. To not bear that comparison. It's a shame, but... Yeah.
And the Coppola of it all, like, you're kind of like, you are inherently going to compare it to, like, Sofia Coppola's done stuff about this.
Right.
And the visual style feels very borrowed from that.
Right.
Some of it feels very borrowed from, like, Francis Ford Coppola's films, like some of the shots. It's all a lot of, like, really full-on close-ups as well, like really extreme close-ups of people's faces, which feels to me very, like, I don't know, Francis Ford Coppola, like, it's about, like, character acting more than it is about... yeah, and it's literally got Jason Schwartzman in it.
Oh, right.
So,
So like, you're just like, like this person. I think the production company in the beginning titles is literally called Goodfellas. Like, it's just
okay.
Like, it's going to be that. So you have to like rank it in that world. And,
that's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm there's definitely good stuff in it. I just think it's. Yeah, like you're right. It's just the timing of it.
I think it's worth. It's definitely worth watching, like when it's on streaming. And like I say, it's. I don't know what the exact runtime is, but it's pretty lean. I think it'd be like maybe under
minutes?
90. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like, I will say that to its credit, it like, for everything we're saying about like, it doesn't feel like it's meandering or wasting time at any point. Like it's pretty taut. It just kind of gets in and gets out, so it's not like a huge sacrifice to your time in that sense. So it is still worth a watch when it's on streaming, I reckon.
Yeah.
Hey, pair it up with Showgirls from the 90s.
Honestly, I think it would be a great double bill with Showgirls.
Yeah.
Because that's like, what happens to these Showgirls?
Yeah.
When Showgirls become Showgirl.
I love Showgirls.
Yeah,
It
incredible.
is an absolute classic. I love Paul Verhoeven. Get around Showgirls. What a time.
The pool scene? Being violently fucked underneath that fountain?
By evil Kyle MacLachlan.
Evil Kyle MacLachlan.
Oh, man. Before we get on to our TV of this week, I'll briefly say I watched Companion, and I completely agree with you, Jen. Everything you said about it is completely accurate. I found it like a fine watch.
Like this?
Oh, like this?
I'm really jealous.
No watch ass having bitch.
Listeners of the audio, you can try and figure out what just happened then.
2 rollies popped up on screen.
Totally competent. Looked pretty good. Sophie Thatcher, fantastic. Jack Quaid doing his Scream character again, kind of. But so obvious, everything spelled out, and some like really dumb shortcuts as well, where you're like, well, if this can happen, why can't this happen? You know, a lot of that. But a good streaming watch if you're happy with a 3-star movie. You know, nice bit of streaming slop.
Hungover on Sunday, watch Companion.
Exactly, perfect for that. But something that I was very excited to watch and had my eyes glued to the telly for was Mr. White Lotus himself.
Yeah.
Episode
Mike
3.
White Lotus.
Wow. Do you think that's why he called it White Lotus?
He wanted to call it Mike White Lotus.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, you got to drop one of those words.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I'd never thought of that until
it's
just
Mike.
then.
Yeah.
That is very strange that his name is in the title.
Yeah. Well, we know he had to like rush that first season through as a quick job, and he was like, what can I call it? What can I call it? You know, sees his nameplate on his own desk, like, oh, that gives me an idea.
He's got the nameplate.
White, and then he looked at the outside at the pond.
It's COVID and you're working from home and you've still got the nameplate just in your home office.
Yeah.
That's why my TV show, fucking laptop house, dog never got up.
Yeah. I'd watch that.
Me
Laptop
too.
house dog.
Laptop house dog.
Um,
Sorry. I'll go. I'll boot myself off. Sorry, see ya.
But we're back for episode 3
Yes.
of The White Lotus. Do we want to do this again by groups?
Let's do this by group. It's a bunch of different groups of people. Maybe we'll save the GOG stuff for the end because I thought that was probably the most sort of compelling stuff. And we do kick off the episode with the great Parker Posey having a wild ass dream.
Oh yeah,
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Let's start with
dream.
the rat lifts.
Yeah. I liked this. She is such a character who is like, everything's like right there. Not a lot of stuff is repressed, but the way it comes out in a dream is like, I reckon you could figure out what this means.
Yeah.
I think she knows inherently what it means.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, time to pop the pill.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's on the beach. There's a giant tsunami. She does complain.
Headed towards their home.
Yes, headed towards their home, which is on the beach now for some reason. She mentions that Lachlan has been watching tsunami videos on YouTube, which is
It's so dark to do that while on holiday in Thailand.
Yeah.
And just being like, look at this guy, doesn't even try and move. That's the beach like over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Which again, like, it's not always bad to have extremely overt symbolism, but like immediately cutting to the father who the tsunami is rapidly approaching and he feels like he can't do anything because he is trapped there in Thailand.
He's out on he's like, she wakes up from the dream and he's out on the balcony. It's pissing with rain.
Yep.
And is he on the phone or is he's kind of just pacing around out there?
She overhears him talking about Kenny.
Oh,
from
right.
Yeah.
He'll be on the
Hotel.
phone because of the time difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Parker Posey's character is aware something's going on.
Yep.
She's heard it from her husband.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then when she asks him directly, he says, it's all good.
Yeah, everything's fine.
I mean, there's the King Canut symbolism as well, like the man trying to stop the tides. He stands out, the English king, and I was like, I think there is like a lot to be said on the internet about, you know, the symbolism of the elephants and the symbolism of the monkeys and da-da-da-da. But then there are just like really overt references like that. Be like, this is a man trying to stop a tsunami from hitting. It's not going to work.
I do love it though, because it's like people can look for symbolism anywhere, and this show does have it in it. But being like, what do the monkeys mean? It's like there's monkeys in Thailand.
That's also
They just are in a place where they're what's that tree in the background mean? So that's a tree. This is where they
What's
filmed
the motorbikes mean?
Which, like, I will say, I've gone not deep, but I've read a bunch of the Reddit posts and the theories and stuff, and I really feel like a lot of people are, totally misunderstanding the point of the show, which is like, okay, and, you know, you can't dictate how people interpret stuff, but like, it's mostly about rich people being dickheads and not having the sort of honesty and integrity of, you know, dealing with that head on. But, Yeah, and chucking in a big obvious dream is a great way to be like, no, this when there's a symbol, you'll know what it is.
You'll know.
Yeah. So Tim he's on the phone at one point with someone back.
His lawyer? Is that his lawyer, right? Because
I think so. Yeah, who mentions that the FBI have been calling and
Nice of the FBI to call.
Yeah.
Heads up. Yeah.
He's like, don't talk to anyone. But shit is really hitting the fan.
Yeah.
He's fucked.
Yeah.
And he's having a tougher and tougher time keeping it from the family. They're all kind of sitting around in that living room in their comm, and the quote unquote Australian brings them a blender.
Kiwi caricature of an Australian.
Yes.
And I'm allowed to say that.
Yep. So they've got a blender.
Yes.
Saxon has been trying to get his hands on a blender.
3 episodes in, they finally get a blender.
Yeah, Chekhov's blender, maybe.
Yep.
Oh.
What if a monkey literally blends one of them to
Ooh.
I think it's
using
gonna happen.
tsunami water?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
But yes.
Catch me on TikTok. Spreading that one.
18 Easter eggs from the latest episode of White Lotus.
Things you need to know about the White Lotus, episode 3. Did you know a blender blends things? Anyway, sorry.
Oh, interesting. And it's like the family's a blend of different personalities.
This is crazy.
This goes all the way to the top. But yeah, Saxon gets Lachlan onto the protein shakes and spends most of the episode trying to hook up with people again. Saxon gets his flirt on with, I forget her character's name.
Chloe. The Montreal.
Yes.
French Montreal
the
person.
Quebecois. Which she's given him the eyes, and Greg/Gary notices and does not approve.
Yep.
Lockie gets his posture fixing session.
Yep.
So good.
Which is, again, a nice shortcut way for a third party to be like, so this is your character. You're a people pleaser.
Yeah.
People pleaser, and you look for protection from your feminine side.
Yeah.
And it is funny because he goes this posture correcting workshop under duress because his mother's booked it for him. Which, again, wonderful Parker Posey moment. This is where she's so good. She's so good at just playing like a kind of daffy, kind of unintentionally mean, but sort of not. One of the great lines is she's talking about the massage that she's booked, where she's like, "Oh, I love her. She's so gentle and yet so firm."
Yeah, that got me too.
It's so good. She's great.
Oh man, she's killing it. And then it's Piper, right? Piper is the daughter. She heads back to the temple, and she's like, "Hey, I've been emailing with this dude." The guy's like, "Yeah, they're not here, but hey, we'll set up a meeting on Friday. You'll get to do the thing that you ostensibly came here halfway across the world to do."
Well, because she's talking about moving there, right? She's saying she wants to go live at the monastery. Which, did we know that? That's kind of new, right? Like,
I
she's
think
kind
that is
of
new information.
She's told the family that she just wants to go and interview one of them for a paper.
Yeah.
And I read it as like she hasn't told the family that she's planning to, like, ultimately after graduating, she's seriously considering moving and
becoming a Buddhist monk.
Becoming a monk. Yeah.
That rocks.
Yeah, good for her. I've considered that over the years. Certainly during university. It's like, can I just fuck all this off and but yeah, that's hey, again, it's a blended family with different personalities.
Well, as Saxon's getting the blender set up, Tim's getting more and more phone calls. Saxon's phone is ringing with someone from the office.
Yes.
And he's, Tim kind of takes him outside and he's like, what does he say? He's like, "Dad, I know I say this to you all the time, but I love working."
Oh, man. And I will say,
fuck.
because I've seen that he's had to kind of push back on this and defend himself in real life. Patrick Schwarzenegger has been like, "I'm not just a Nepo baby. I've had a bunch of failed auditions. Like,
Sure.
I have I've earned my right to be on this show, and I think he has. I think he's really fucking good.
And people
I
saying
reckon like White saw him in Grown Ups 3. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and people going like, him obviously, of course, like going, I've failed auditions. I had to take like years of acting classes, and people going, yes, but of course, still, your parents' influence would have gotten you those auditions in the first place.
Right.
And you have the money to
go to
buy those acting classes.
Yeah,
of course, all
you're
of that.
not worrying about your rent while you're doing this. You don't have to work a shitty cafe job.
Yeah, at the same time, he is the perfect guy for this. It's not like you're watching it going like, this guy sucks. He's like the nepotism thing only really, it truly is a guy where you go, like he really has that like young Army Hammer, like good looking, smarmy, but gross kind of energy to him. Exactly.
Yeah. And like you could say it's stunt casting based on who he is. It kind of is like the meta element of it is, there, but also it works. It works.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, he's really fucking good in it.
I don't feel pulled out of it.
Right.
Watching it. I'm not like, oh, I recognize him from being a Schwarzenegger. Like, no, I don't care. Like,
yeah,
it's not like he's there going like, Dad, I love working. And be like, why does the son talk like that? It doesn't really track.
Oh, my blender's here. I'll be back. Yeah. He's good.
So yeah, it feels like Tim's kind of like on the verge of like kind of wanting to, let Saxon in on what's happening, but he just kind of ends up being like, you're so great at what you do, you're going to have such a great career. And he basically goes back into the room and to sort of be able to avoid to try and stop the tsunami, he's like, you know what? Yeah, let's do the thing where we lock our phones up. Let's just get rid of them.
And the laptop as well.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's going to come back. There's something about how resistant he was to giving the laptop up that I'm like, okay, that's something.
Yeah.
That's going to play somewhere.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I thought, like, I think up until this episode, I've sort of, you can empathize or you can sympathize with Tim, right? You're like, oh, this is a shitty situation. How awful is that to be, in a different time zone and dealing with whatever has happened here? But I think the moment that he takes his, like, adoring son aside and basically lies to his face and is like, look, sometimes you need a break from work, you need to develop yourself. You need to have experiences so that you can come back and bring those. And it's like, you are lying to your son. Your son's a dickhead, but, like, he loves you and he wants to be you, and you're just bullshitting him because you don't want to tell him the truth.
Yeah, it's not coming from a place of protection. He's not trying to keep his son out of it. He's doing it to protect himself.
Yes. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Do you think he's going to be lobbying to just, like, not go back to the States? Because he's like, well,
what's the extradition laws in Thailand? Let's have a look.
I bet they're not very strong. I feel like a lot of people,
especially on Koh Samui, you're on a little island. I could see them linking up with Greg. And, him being like, oh, you just kind of live here off the grid. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they do have an extradition treaty.
Okay.
Right.
Well, he's fucked then.
Yeah.
But if they, I don't know, if they can't find you, if you live remotely enough on that island, you're probably going to be okay.
Or you just hop over to the Philippines or whatever. There's ways around it.
We could, the season could end with Tim just, like, hopping a scooter and driving off into the jungle. Like, but yeah, that's where that ends up pretty much.
That's the rat lifts.
That's the rat lifts.
Yep. Then we've got the girlies.
Yes.
Girly pop?
Girly pop.
Yeah. And their great revelation that, no, not Leslie, that's the actor's name.
Kate.
Kate is,
a Trump photo.
Yeah. I like how she really skirts around it. They're like, oh, but your husband didn't vote for him, did he? Well, did you vote for him?
She's like, we don't need to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
Does a bit of Alfred E. Newman, like, what me worry, kind of at them. Like,
yeah, she's like, well, I'm an independent.
Yeah. Which, again, is so perfect. The most Austin shit you'll ever hear.
Totally.
Just alternative people moving there to have an alternative list. The alt-right to fucking...
Yeah.
The wellness to alt-right pipeline. Well in place.
Yeah, how does it come up again? What's the like... What's the link in the conversation?
Oh,
where that
because
ends up coming up?
they're talking about the energy healing. So Carrie Coon's character gets an energy healing session from Valentine. The girlies are like, you gotta hook up with him. You gotta
smash.
Yeah. And she goes in, does the healing. They do not smash. And she goes to tell the girlies about it. And she says, I found it a bit intimate, but, you know, I haven't had someone wave their hands over me like that in years.
Yes.
And the Leslie Bibb character says, I don't go in for all this witchy stuff. It feels too witchy for me.
Yeah, witchy. Very good.
Yeah.
And
Can we please not talk about Trump on this holiday?
And I just love, you feel it. The shift in the dynamic instantly. It's 2 against 1.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we don't trust you anymore. Like, you are not one of us. You've changed. Yeah. We probably, like, you can see them not talking to her after the holiday.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, they're already, because she says at one point, like, hey, you know, you'll see if you ever come out and visit, like, I'm always asking you to do. And them really being like, yeah, hey, there's already this distance and it is already hard to keep in touch. And yeah, maybe it'll just get a little bit harder when we get home.
Yeah.
Equivalent of when someone tells you to go visit them in Perth. You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
no, it's only a 4-hour flight. Yeah.
Oh, it's the same price as flying in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only have to like fuck up a few days of my life with the time difference and the entire day it takes to travel. Yeah. Okay.
But you get to be surrounded by people who are from Perth. So, you know, it's really worth it.
Yeah. And there's I love doing all the stuff in Perth.
Yeah.
I love doing all the stuff in Perth.
Yeah. Coffee's $8.
Yeah,
great.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love,
it's 45 degrees every day.
Yeah. People are on meth.
Very Austin. It is the Austin of Australia.
It is.
It really is.
It really is. But yeah, later on in the episode, she overhears Jacqueline and Laurie being like, "Oh, it's so sad to see what's happened to her."
These bitches need to learn how to fucking tee off about their friends. Because that's happened twice now where they are just letting rip, like, literally outside one of the window of the person who's just gone to bed. Come on, girlies.
The white wine is talking. I love it.
Yeah.
Demonic channeling through white wine. I love it.
Yeah, the green goblin mask.
Yeah. Is that, that's all that happens with them?
That's sort of the extent of them, right? And so we've kind of seen the two of them turning on Carrie Coon. We've seen the other two turning on Leslie Bibb. We haven't really seen... I mean, they had that conversation about her just having shacked up with that younger guy, but there hasn't been a point yet where we see, you know, where they kind of flip on Michelle Monaghan and have their little... I kind of feel like that's going to be the next one, is she'll have her moment of seeing the two of them bitch about her behind her back,
I
right?
guess she didn't overhear it or anything, but I think... there was a vibe that, because they were talking about like the work she was getting done and stuff. I feel like
that's true. Yeah,
the dynamic has been there, but there's not been that conflict yet.
She's kind of not really like witnessed it behind her back and been like, oh, this is how these people really feel about me. So maybe that's coming. I would like to see it go completely full circle,
and then go nuclear. I assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the extent of them, isn't it? Yeah. It's kind of really like the main, that's the big takeaway for them. So then we've got, what is her name? The lady from Maui.
Belinda.
So
great app for Belinda.
Yes.
I love learning more about her. I love that it's being used as a link between all of the seasons now as well.
Yeah,
I think that's really nice world building around the show.
Oh, I mean, imagine being her too, like the actor. You know, you get cast in, hey, great to be having work during the pandemic. Oh, we're shooting in Hawaii. Oh, the show's a hit. That's cool.
Yep.
Oh, it's coming back for season 2. Oh, okay, I didn't... Oh, I mean, I guess I was just a pretty minor character in season 1.
It's
That's
an
all right.
anthology show. Fair enough.
All of a sudden, the phone rings. You want to go to Thailand?
Yeah.
Any like inconsequential person in the background of season 1 must be sitting around now being like, oh, and then you hear like, yeah, season 4, we're going to film in Aspen. Like,
Yeah, I'm good.
Leave me out of this.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm pretty sure that Mike White has said they will never do an Aspen season because he hates the cold.
Well,
that's great.
Yeah. I don't know.
Good.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
I love the aesthetic of, the winter holiday, but...
I do feel like seeing a bit of the broader response to this, they maybe have shot themselves in the foot by doing 3... hot beach, Like, I do think if they had like a hard pivot in terms of environment and vibe, it would really benefit the show.
I'd love to see a White Lotus like student hostel in Whistler.
Oh,
like that'd be fun.
Yes.
Just Australians just pissing on people rooting in the snow. I think it'd be good.
And we have real Australians playing Australians.
Yeah.
None of this Kiwi bullshit.
What the fuck, dude?
I'd be pretty surprised if they don't. If he says he wants heat, I could see Australia getting a look in it at some stage. If it's got to be the beach.
Yeah.
I saw that early on, this third season was meant to be Japan.
Oh, right.
And then so they had a fixer who was working things out in Japan to start the shoot there and talking to casting agents, etc., etc., etc. And then at the last minute got offered this like pretty incredible tax break by Thailand.
Yeah, right.
And so just moved it and started production there.
Huh.
I think it's like a 20% tax break or something.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so they were like, yeah, well, we're doing it here then.
I mean, we got tax breaks here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're apparently very bad, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or dependent on... Yeah, I think maybe Screen Queen. I don't know.
Right.
I should probably know, but whatever. It would be great to get White Lotus Gold Coast.
Yeah.
White Lotus Perth.
White Lotus Perth.
White Lotus Perth.
That would
White
be good.
Lotus. Even I'm just. Yeah, I agree with you, Jen. Like I think we were talking about this after season 1. Like the idea of the White Lotus having these like offshoot brands that are like hostels, maybe some like rank like Formula One style, like airport hotel kind of action.
Yeah.
Like there's so much you could do with it. Like.
Because there's like Doubletree by Hilton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see just like a mid-level corporate hotel in Canberra.
Yeah.
White Lotus spin-off.
I think we might have talked about this, Tommy, of like it being a conference. Like, corporate hotel.
Yeah, corporate retreat.
This conference brings all these people together. But anyway, we're talking about Thailand.
yes. And Belinda.
And
yes.
Beautiful Belinda, yes.
Yeah, so she's having her dinner with, and there's
Ponchai and her.
There's a little end to the interaction where it seems like something could have happened here.
Yes.
Some vibes flying about.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's drunk. He never drinks, and so he's going a little further than he usually would. What does he say? I dream of you, and you dream of me.
Oh yeah.
Like, is that a Thai saying? Like,
and he just goes. Cheeky. But a crucial cross-pollination between the seasons happens at the dinner with Ponchai.
Yes.
Where she sees Greg, now going by Gary.
Yep.
And goes, I'm sure I recognize him.
I know this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And she talks about her feelings about the events of season 1.
Yes.
About how she felt about getting dragged along by... what's it? The iconic Jennifer Coolidge.
Tanya
McQuad.
Yep.
And then she talks about her boss dying in a freak accident at work and how that affected her.
Yeah.
And then she spots Gary, Tanya's ex-husband now. And goes over and
Loved
says
this.
like,
Loved that it didn't get dragged out a little bit more, because I think, we saw her last week sort of spot him and half double take, but
and who we've learned through Chloe that his story is like, my wife, she just like walked out into the ocean and kept going.
That's right.
It's a real tragedy.
And all they found was her leg.
Classic lie where you're like, you've added too much detail. It's obviously fake.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Part of me was like, did she get like chopped up by a boat or something?
Oh, maybe.
When she fell off?
Maybe it could have been, yeah. But then also, like, if you've made up this lie about her, like, taking
being
her own life, it's like,
and killing
how would
herself?
her leg have gotten chopped off if she's just walked into the ocean?
But then also, is that meant to be as well something to do with the tsunami imagery at the beginning too? How they're like, oh, he didn't even try and run; he just walked straight into it.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that something? I don't know.
I think
I don't know which threads to pull.
A thematic link. That might be all. I think the people who are like, everything's a clue, maybe not. But everything's a reference? Yeah, of course. It's the same guy, right, in each season,
I think I said this other week. It does get a bit tiring.
Yeah.
looking sideways at everything. Sometimes I just want smooth brain watch.
Yes.
I chased this episode with an episode of Real Housewives of Potomac, and that was the perfect dismount.
Yeah.
But
it feels like something's gonna obviously really boil over there.
Well,
I'm pretty sure
he
it was
denies
with
it, obviously.
Yeah.
She's like, I definitely recognize you. Isn't your name Greg? And he's like, nope, Gary.
She doesn't buy it, and it also feels like kind of everyone else at the table is like, you're lying.
Something's up.
Just no one is like, wow, what a weird thing to have happened. Everyone's like, yeah, you're just obviously lying.
Yeah.
And then her evening ends after Pornchild leaves. She's there and she hears something creepy happening.
Yeah.
And that's how her evening ends. And we wonder if maybe Greg's sending someone after her to clean up.
Yeah. I think it was with Belinda, and I'm pretty sure this is what happened. I was meant to rewind because I couldn't tell if I misheard this or not, but I thought this was very funny, maybe unintentionally. But when she's talking to him earlier in the day, and she makes the real effort of going, cop on car, and then he goes, indeed.
She has another line earlier in the episode where she goes, so you'll really wash the feet, huh?
Making the effort to speak the language of the place that you're in and really being like, check me out, and the person just going like, yeah, good for you.
Cool.
Man, I've copped that. I've copped that in Japan. Arigato gozaimasu.
And because you realise, like, in their head, they're like, man, this cunt has just said it all wrong. Like, this sounds like shit. What is that accent?
Literally repeating it back to me sarcastically.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair enough.
I had that in France where I said like, I ordered like a cup of coffee in French, and they were like, would you like some sugar?
Yeah.
With your coffee?
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, come on. French is it's one of the big languages.
Yeah.
Well, let this be a lesson to you, anyone out there, if you have a tourist in your, where you live and they're trying to speak your language to you and they're sort of butchering it, just hit them with a indeed.
Indeed.
Even if they're doing a very good job of it, just that it's so don't you try and patronize me by one word out of the language. Yeah, good for you. You're really making the effort. Indeed.
Indeed.
So does that bring us up to the GOG, or do we want to do...
I think that is GOG time. Mook and
Guy
Talk.
Yes.
Yep. Guy Talk's he wants to be the security, offers his services to be a bodyguard.
He has a chat to Sri Tala.
Yep.
Sri Tala, yes.
Sri Tala, and offers his services. The bodyguards with her take exception to that.
Yes.
They call him a pussy.
They call him a pussy.
They call him a pussy.
Yeah.
But he tells Mook, he says, I did this. I just thought you'd want to know. If I go to Bangkok, honey, you're coming with me. Love it. Love a fella like that.
She was like, I appreciate you telling me. Which I cannot get a read on her character. I don't know if she is earnest when she's talking to him, if she is being nice, but, like a little bit like, okay, that's cool of you to tell me, but like, I don't know. How do you guys
take on
read
the
it?
character is she's like she's working at this luxury resort not to marry the fucking gate guard.
Sure.
Yeah. She's there to meet someone who will actually improve her circumstances.
Sure.
Who will actually, a famous person, a rich person, or get connections. Like, she's not,
she's not
looking
settling
to
down
marry with her brother's friend. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think, and from like what I've read in interviews with Lisa, the actress playing her, is that the character is very flirty.
Yeah. Okay.
And so she kind of wields her feminine wiles to get her way. Because you do see her kind of chatting with the the bodyguards. She kind of has a few looks with the GOG. She kind of is like playing with Guy Talk a bit, gets him to help her with her scooter.
Yeah.
I think she knows what's up.
Sure. She wants a bit of upward mobility. She doesn't. Yeah. She's not sticking around at the White Lotus Koh Samui forever. Yep.
I was getting really stressed during that interaction because I kept thinking like, oh, he's left the gate. Like there's going to be another like something's,
if you're here, who's guarding the White Lotus?
Well, it just seems so perfect where he's like,
in the gatehouse.
Oh, because he
put
also
a little
hears,
hat on among them.
because he also hears that his he was like maybe going to be fired at one point.
Oh, yes.
So they kind of set up this whole thing of like his job's kind of in jeopardy, and I was like, oh well, this would be as he's found that out, then he like walks away from his post, and some shit happens,
Right.
like last episode while he's out or whatever.
But that could be setting it up for maybe in the future he's too obsessed with Mook, he leaves the post. Definitely could be down
because
the
his
line,
boss at one point as he's finishing his shift for the night, he's like, yeah, let's have a chat tomorrow, and he's like, oh, is it anything serious? No, let's have a chat tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which
7
I've had that.
I think
I've had that move pulled on me, and it fucking sucks.
Oh,
Sucks
really?
ass. Yeah, I finished a shift at a bakery I worked at, and they were like, "Yeah, come in tomorrow for a chat." I'm like, well, let's just do it now.
Yeah.
No, it was sorry. I was working the next day, and they're like, "Hey, can we have a chat after your shift tomorrow?" I'm like, "Cool, we can have it now." And they're like, No, let's have it after the shift tomorrow. And then I went in and did the shift, and at the end of the shift, they're like, "That was your last shift." And I was like, "You cunts, you fucking cunts."
Yeah, you rung one last shift out of me, and then got brutal.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe we are now ready to talk GOG, ready to talk Chelsea.
Yep.
I'm your soulmate.
I'm an Aries.
You're a Scorpio and I'm an Aries.
I have to know everything.
As a Scorpio, she's right.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, remind me, how do we kick back off with them? It's just sort of after the sort of weird dinner and stuff of last episode.
Yeah, and it's pretty much straight away he makes a beeline for Switala.
Yes.
And I just I loved seeing this. I loved seeing him just really in the zone of knowing exactly what he's got to say and how he's got to say it. Oh, just playing her like a fiddle.
Yeah.
His entire face changed too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It felt like he was playing a different character.
First time
He's
we've
got the
seen
gift.
him like happy and enthusiastic the whole time, and he's pretending.
Yeah.
It's so like
It was a masterclass. It was like,
Yeah.
do you even take meetings? Like,
Yeah.
you're probably too big for this, but
the way he says, so sexy. Yucky.
just literally everything he says, you can see that he's gotten just the exact reaction that he wanted.
Yes.
Oh, loved it.
However, our hotel manager, Fabian, I don't think is buying any of it.
No.
He's looking very skeptical the whole time. He's like,
Do you think he's skeptical, or do you think he's like, well, I actually work in the arts.
potentially.
Yeah.
I actually have some songs.
Yeah, potentially that as well, because he does bring it up after the GOG leaves. Like, I've actually been writing some songs of my own.
Do you think maybe...
But yeah, he wheedled his way into getting her contact info in Bangkok. The con is on.
Yep.
The con is on.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still not letting her in on what's going on. She's asking me, he's like, it doesn't concern you.
Oh boy.
Oh, you're my soulmate.
Such a funny thing to say to your partner.
Yeah.
It doesn't concern you.
I do like when she's like, can we just have some fun?
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, we're gonna have fun, all right. Let's go into town and get." Well, he's like, she's hanging out with Chloe by the pool, and he goes past and is like, "Oh no, that's right," because he has his next his session.
Meditation session, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which he keeps claiming he has a migraine, and everyone's like, "You got to do it anyway, dude. Sorry."
Yep.
But he lays on, I think, another performance. Right? Do we think that he is being honest about his childhood? Because he really like flicks straight into it. He's like, yeah, my dad's dead, and I didn't really get to enjoy my life, and that's.
I bought it.
It's convincing. He's got
I bought
tears
it
in
last
his
time.
eyes.
Yeah, I bought it last time, but I think this was the bit where I went, oh, I could see this being a reveal that he's like.
He's just good at playing that character too.
Yeah,
Right.
this kind of scene almost had that air of it of like, I thought, was there going to be a thing where he maybe says something slight that contradicts what he said last time.
Right.
And they would be like, wait, didn't you say your mum was, or whatever?
I think the stories are not true. I think the heart of what he's saying is true.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's done a lot of bad things, and he feels like he's in too deep now to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's like convenient for him or it's like a good justification in his head to go, well, what was I meant to do? Like, my mum was a junkie and my dad was murdered, so I was always going to be fucked up. When the truth of the matter is like, no, you're just a bad guy. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But something does shake him, because I think the reaction to that of, let's get fucked up, I need weed,
Yeah.
that comes from a genuine, like, something's happened.
That's
Yeah,
true.
okay.
He'd been touched in him that he
Yeah,
does not like feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a very
So he's like, he comes and sees her by the pool and is like, hey, I got to go get some weed. I'm going into town. And he's ready to and wants to head off by himself. She feels like she's got to go with him. She hops into the tuk-tuk with him and he's like, oh, for God's sake.
This doesn't concern you.
Yeah. So he's in town and he's lighting up a fatty. And then he sees a cobra show.
Yeah.
Across
Snake
the road.
show. Have you been to Snake Show in Thailand, Tommy? Have you
No,
had that
I haven't.
experience?
I haven't been to Snake Show.
Are they common? Like, is that like a tourist kind of thing?
Yeah, I know Brett Blake and Danielle Walker went to one
Okay.
While we were there, and I was wondering, it would be so funny if it was that exact one.
Yeah. Yeah. It is weird seeing. Yeah, it's just in Koh Samui, a place that I've seen Instagram stories posted
Yeah.
from for like the past 6 years.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally. I do love the way they represent that Snake Show, like the tourist trap of it all.
Oh,
Just
man.
like,
I mean, well, that
hey.
was the thing. Like, when Brett and Danielle came back, they were like, yeah, it was pretty fun. And then I was watching that, and I was like, if that's the one they went to, then thank God I didn't go, because this looks shit.
Where the guy's just like, please don't try this at home. Like, just the wonderful
Yeah,
delivery
yeah.
of
That was
the
great.
narrator of the Snake Show. I'm
So
like,
good.
this
Yeah.
is perfect.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop thinking, I'm like, I wonder if that's the actual guy that works there. And they're like, you know what, fella?
Yeah.
Get in there.
Yeah.
The casting was really good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Felt very natural, very deadpan.
I wonder if it was the snakes from the Snake Show, or if they brought in snakes.
They brought snakes from America.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are trained
These American
cobras.
snakes are taking local Thai people's
Yeah.
snakes' jobs.
I can see Brett and Danielle loving that and thinking that was fun and cool, though. Even considering how it appeared to us.
Yeah.
That's really
yeah,
in their
definitely.
wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, we had a tsunami. We got some real fucking symbolism going on here. And he watches the show. He's kind of, does he comment beforehand on the way through? He like feels bad for them kind of being caged up, or is this something?
I think it's maybe like afterwards, because he's
Right.
also, he smoked that huge joint in the street, and you sort of see him
Yeah.
start to get a bit.
He's like starting to green out. They're looking at the things. He's like, I think they should be free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, snakes are evil. I'm sorry, but she is a Wallace and Gromit character to me.
Yeah. Big time. Yeah.
Chickens go in, pies come out. Not Wallace and Gromit for the pedants listening.
Thank
Chicken
you,
Run,
thank you.
But same production company.
Yeah, same clay.
So he's letting them out. He's letting them.
Yeah, he goes
He's
buck
letting
wild.
those snakes go free.
Sometimes you green out, you gotta let the snake out.
Oh,
Which that
yeah.
feels like a very Danielle Walker move, to let the snakes go free.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the first hint of a compassionate thing for him to do in the entire show. He explains it away later on. He says, I was so high, I didn't know what I was doing, but you letting the poisonous animal free out of the cage that they've been trapped in their entire lives, brother, I think that meant something.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then one of them biting your girlfriend.
Yeah.
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 Now
A
that-
poisonous cobra. biting
Seriously.
her. It's so after, and also I do like the way they kind of set that up of like 30 minutes you're dead, 15 minutes you can get to the hospital and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also fits to the theme of poisoning through this whole thing as well. Like in the first episode with the seed,
Yes.
and it's like, well, if you swallow a seed, it's poisonous.
yes.
You can poison someone, kill them.
Yeah.
I feel like it's again like some theme running through this poison of drownings of biblical stuff as well.
Yeah,
a lot in this.
absolutely. Right? Yes. It's from the Bible. And I do, as much as we're like, it's not going to be a monkey having a gun and shooting everyone.
It's going to be a snake with a gun.
It's going to be a snake with a gun.
It's going to be a snake with a blender.
Yeah.
The snake biting Chelsea, her getting hurt as a result of the Gog's actions, maybe is some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It's funny as well because they go have that dinner with Gary and Chloe, and Chloe says, maybe you shouldn't go on the boat tomorrow. You've had 2 brushes with death in 2 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, this girl, she's in trouble. She's not going to have a good time. And I kind of think a woo-woo chick like that, a girl who's talking about star signs, etc., would be like, the universe is telling me something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also a woo-woo chick like that would also be like, it's telling me to lean in.
Yeah.
The universe is sending me challenges and I need to lean in.
That's right.
Yep.
I need to stay with it, with the course. Mm-hmm. That after I almost die in a smash and grab.
Yep.
And then I almost die from a poisonous cobra bite.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to go on a boat party.
Time to go on a yacht.
Yeah.
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 And so is he planning to go to Bangkok tomorrow? So is he missing the boat party to go? Am I getting that? Because when's he planning to go? Is he planning to go the next day?
I think so, yeah.
I
So
think
maybe next
yeah.
episode we'll see him in Bangkok and we'll see this yacht party.
Yeah.
But the Ratliffs have also been invited to the boat party as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Because there is that whole conversation where Parker Posey goes like, just because someone's rich doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've got a yacht. Saxon. You son of a bitch.
Well, I think that does us for this ep, right?
Yeah, I think it closes off on another instance of Tim being freaked out about everything that's happening to him, and again zooming out on the jungle.
Oh, and he's been hitting he's taken one of Parker Posey's pills earlier to have a nap.
Yes.
And he's like, no, I don't do drugs. And then he's like he's snuck one out of a bag and said, no, they're not for me. But yeah, he's hitting them.
Yeah. They're not addictive. I just take them when I need them.
Yeah, great. Incredible.
Good shit.
Yeah. Good ep.
Great ep.
Straight up.
Speaking of great eps.
Yes?
Severance Season 2, Episode 7.
Yeah.
Entitled
Chikai something or other.
Chikai Bardo.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, we get a lot. We be eating good this week.
Yeah.
This is the Gemma flashback episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, opens with Gemma and Mark meeting at the blood drive. Beautiful little meet cute. All of this stuff apparently filmed on like a 16mm camera or on film. They have a very natural little flirt. It ends with Mark being like, "Who are you?"
Who is this girl?
Well,
I
I'm your
thought just
future
seeing
wife.
all this stuff, like, it was so interesting because, like, yeah, we haven't seen anything just outside of Severance. Like, even, when we see the Audis, it's still everything they're doing is in the context of being severed, talking about the innie-Audi relationships. This is, I mean, you see a bit of, like, the Lumen logo in, like, where they're getting their blood taken, but really outside of that, this is, like, the first time of seeing, like, a world that isn't under the umbrella of the Severance procedure. And, like, we'd assume that the procedure seems to be, like, well known enough that they've probably heard about it, but also, like, maybe not. Like, they're busy with their real world job. Like, they've, you know what I mean? Like, they don't really have any reason to have engaged in it. Like, and so I loved the thing of, like, making this stuff feel, even though it is also flashback as well, but just making it, the world of these scenes just feels so different.
Totally.
Well, so this episode was directed by Jessica Lee Gagne, who was a cinematographer on the first 2 seasons. And then this is the first episode that she's directed. And just, like, you can feel it. The way this, like, the camera moves through these scenes and stuff. But the thing I really liked about it was all of these kind of pre-severed flashbacks are shot on film.
Yeah.
And you can see the little film scratches and stuff. And I was like, oh man, like that would be really fucking annoying to shoot something that's quite complicated, quite these long takes.
Yeah.
And then shooting them on film. But it's like, that's why you get a cinematographer to direct, because like, they would know the practicality of doing that. Mm-hmm. And I also think it just lends such a lovely warmth to these characters. They look beautiful. And that kind of nostalgic glow to everything that I was like, that's like a really great choice and a really nice way of differentiating between the innie world, the outie world, and the past.
Yeah.
And I think it's like pretty obvious watching the show, and also they have spoken about this, that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was a big influence on the show, but like this is the most overt of it. Like these like real, and we're sort of, I think it's meant to be that because we're sort of seeing present day. Mark is unconscious on the couch, like still after he's passed out from the reintegration. We're sort of meant to be seeing this through, like this is him sort of remembering all this stuff as he's kind of passed out. So. But just that style of flashback that is like used so much in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and this like bleak present day reality, and then cutting back to this very like warm and like
impressionistic, right? It is, because I didn't get this, but like Dr. Ragabi, I don't know if she has been confirmed to be a doctor, is like tells Devon at the end, like Mark is journeying, and it's like, oh yeah, this was all him, remembering this stuff. Everything's sort of starting to meld together, but it feels absolutely like it's meant to evoke memories rather than like we're just seeing flashbacks. It's like
thinking back to like, you know, how much stuff happens in this episode and how much we get shown, it feels like it, when you just stack it all up, it's like, did this go for 4.5 hours?
Yeah, it's
because
really
we
dense.
See this like almost like a film in its own right, like them trying to have a kid and doing like IVF and like all the like heartache of that, and the like the whole progression of the relationship, and then it being a bit bad, and that like really, I mean, heartbreaking but so well done moment of the night that she leaves, where she ends up getting in the car accident, and I can't remember where she's going out to, but she's like, I love
Charades.
You. Right. And he's like working, and she's like, I love you. And there's like a pause where he's just like, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I love you too. Like, oh my God, like just all of that stuff was just so well done. So good.
Just the walk to the front door to meet the police.
Yeah.
Shot in slow motion. You don't see the conversation, but you know what the conversation is.
Right, exactly.
And just the anticipation of that dread in that moment is so well done.
Yeah.
God, you love the device of like, you know, they obviously designed the police cars to be like, get the fuck out of the way when you're in public. But what they could never have predicted is, in a film sense, showing the audience that the police are turning up. If you just have someone in their living room and all of a sudden they're like bathed in that red and blue light.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Seeing the boys in blue take the hats off as well. It's like, oh, someone's died. It's such all good, it's all such good shorthand. Sorry. Yeah. And so, I think that's that whole, segment we've basically gone through. It is the meet cute, and the chemistry. They start their life together. It's all beautiful. They're all like, you know, like kissing in the garden and stuff. And then Gemma has a miscarriage, which I can't. Is that happens before IVF, or
I think so. Yeah,
I think so. And then they go to the clinic.
Oh yeah.
And we see the freaky doctor in the background. I don't know if you guys caught that on the... I think
no.
I just saw it.
I didn't clock that, yeah.
Yeah. He just walks past, because I think we've seen him in the other timeline already. And then, it doesn't seem to work. Mark starts drinking. He fucking tears apart the crib, which I turned to my partner Bridget and was... Because I had sort of given her this theory that Mark was a shitty husband, and so potentially the stuff that happens with Gemma might have been voluntary. And so I was like, see, he was a bad guy. He was a bad guy all along. Like, because all we know is he's traumatized and grief stricken at the start of the show. But that's also a pretty natural grief response to like losing a child due to miscarriage and
True,
IVF.
But
failing.
I will say as well, like he could be an unreliable narrator. This could be an idealized memory that he has.
Yep.
And it could be a memory affected by the severance procedure. Like, who knows, really?
Yeah.
I still don't trust what we see.
Yeah.
Because sometimes things are too beautiful in the show, and I'm like, yeah, there's like a crispness to it that is like, or something, or I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it fucking gets me anytime in a device like this where you have like people meet and it's all beautiful and it's like very like idealized and it's like, oh my God, this is just the perfect. None of us in the real world are ever going to know love like that. And then it's like 15 minutes later, you see them fighting and it's like, oh my God, no, you can't believe in anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why that I love you say it back type of scene really got me, because there are days like that. And I don't even think he was intentional. I think he was just distracted. Like, I didn't love her. Like,
and it's great because it's not like he does catch himself. It takes him a few beats. It's not like it's down the line. She's like, you didn't even say I love you, or you see a progression where he was saying it when he walked out and then he doesn't. Like, he still does catch himself, but it's just the fact that it takes that few seconds, because he is distracted when once upon a time in a relationship, it doesn't matter how distracted, you see them like he's working and she comes over and sits in his lap and it's like, it doesn't matter how busy you are, like to just getting to the thing of like, no, we've been together a long time and I'm working. I say it all the time. Like I love you. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that happens, she gives him the gift, right? She comes to his office, gives him the gift.
Oh yeah.
Which ties in. And we do know that she still loves him and wants to be with him, because the other whole timeline is down on the testing floor. And it's Gemma. She's alive. The car crash was fake somehow. The body was fake somehow. Like, all this stuff we were speculating about, it's like, well, we don't have the answers, but we know that she is actually alive.
She's alive, and when she's in this kind of main bit, she knows who she is. She knows who Mark is, because at one point she says, will I get to see Mark after this? Or something to that effect. So she's been... Yeah, so she's under the impression that, she's doing this, like, for him, or she's very much there against her will, because she's being asked all these questions by a psychiatrist or someone from Lumen about like
Bernhardt.
Oh yeah,
Cabaret.
Yeah.
Love to see her.
Yeah.
Are you more scared of like, what is it? Are you more scared of like drowning or like all these?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Are you? You're trapped under a mudslide. Are you more scared of drowning or suffocating? Yeah. Yes.
I didn't know drowning in a mudslide was an option. I just thought it was suffocation.
Yeah.
So that's something I learnt.
Yeah. I guess that mud, that's real sloppy mud.
Sloppy.
And so we see her be led into a room. She does the severed thing. I don't know what you'd call that effect, but we see her clearly sort of log on, and she's in the dentist, and he's like, all right, get in the chair, and she's like, can I please just have a bit of a break? And he's like, no, it's been 6 weeks. And she's like, yeah, but I was just here.
Yeah.
Really fucking brutal stuff.
Yeah.
What's something we can use to show what's something that everyone hates?
Yeah.
We already do work.
Yeah.
We already have like being at the office as the central thing of the show.
Shitty administrative tasks.
Yeah.
What
is
repetitive
something
and mind numbing?
Yeah.
that literally everyone on earth would hate having to do every single moment of their waking life?
Over and over and over again.
The dentist.
Because there's also...
And also, who is objectively the most evil professional?
Yes.
The dentist.
Absolutely. I don't care that you earn good money. It's evil.
You're a
inflicting
freak.
pain.
Yeah. Well, I had those ads. This man's a dentist, so we can't show you his face.
Yeah, it's good.
Because he'll be bashed in the street if people know who he is.
It's on site if people know who he is.
Really getting flashbacks of, like Little Shop of Horrors, Steve Martin just fucking loving it, the sick fuck. But so there's other, I think, I can't remember quite the chronology of this because a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah, it's very jumbled around.
We find out that she has to visit like 6 rooms on that day. She is not looking forward to it. She gets dentist. There's obviously a bunch of stuff we don't see. She also gets the Christmas room.
Well, so she's got multiple innies, right? So every time she goes into one of these rooms, she's in that scenario. It does not seem... Well, yeah, she must not. She must not. Those innies, none of them have it, because she mentions in the dentist, she's only ever been in the dentist, so she's got the Christmas card writing room, where she's only ever in there, and then she's got one where she's in a plane that's going down.
Oh,
that's so wild.
Well, not even going down, right? Just turbulence?
Or just insane turbulence where it seems like it's gonna...
But everyone keeps pretending that it's fine.
Yeah.
The flight attendant being like, can I serve you your meal?
Yeah. Do you want a pillow?
Can I go in on some nerd shit for a second?
Please.
So the episode's called Chikai Bardo. Mm-hmm. The Bardos are... There are 6 Bardos, right? The Bardos are the stages of... Or what does it say? Bardos are transitional states in Tibetan Buddhism that mark a person's life from birth to death and rebirth. And there's 6 states. And the 6 states of Bardo are the Bardo of this life or birth, the Bardo of dream, the Bardo of meditation, the Bardo of dying... Bardo of dream, Bardo of meditation, the Bardo of dying, the Bardo of dharmata or reality, and the Bardo of existence or becoming. So I'm guessing each room represents one of those Bardos.
Yeah.
And she's being ushered through these rooms by star of Broadway, Sandra Bernhard.
Yes.
Well, so it very much seems to be that these are all, negative, traumatic, painful experiences. Like in the case of the Christmas card one, she's like, she can't write anymore. She's got like basically carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
And she met, that's like kind of the one that has the most like overt effect on her outie. Like physically, she's like, my hand's fucked.
Yeah.
But so I've seen a lot of, so then because also as this is happening, we're seeing this weird room that we've never seen before where there are people watching Mark and the gang, and these people kind of sort of weirdly look sort of like them.
Yep.
And are kind of like, which they've now had to find a second guy who kind of looks like Zach Cherry.
Yeah.
So sort of watching them and monitoring them. And so, I think the speculation I've seen, or sort of what it seems to be saying, is that she is being used as some sort of like, experimentation of how do these negative, how does this trauma like affect your outie, like
how easily is it compartmentalized, which is like presumably what they're trying to achieve. I feel like
I'll be super honest, I got very lost in this episode at times, like, and I really wasn't sure who was what or where we were or who was imagining what. But am I right in thinking that the outie is the person who is the one who's like, my mouth hurts, my jaw hurts, da-da-da-da-da.
Yes.
When she eventually tries to escape...
Oh, yes.
She goes up a floor to the 7th floor where Milchek meets her at the end of the corridor and says, oh, your outie just accidentally took a wrong turn while they were at an art exhibition here. You got to go back down.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, she knows she doesn't want to do that, but she's got to go do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so because that's the other question, because it does seem like she's on that lower floor doing these, they're almost set up like they're weird little escape rooms almost, where they are sort of meant to look like a kind of a different version of reality. Whereas we also know that she is like kind of in her role as Miss Casey, she is aware that she's working with severed people and her role is on the severed floor. So that seems to be a separate thing altogether. Like, it doesn't feel like that is tied into this thing that they've got her doing where she's basically this like, lab animal for these traumatic experiences. That seems to be a whole kind of separate job.
I think if we are to assume that all of the stuff that is getting tested on her are types of negative experience, and the purpose of the test is to see how that bleeds out to the outie, aside from the like physical after effects. You could see her role as the wellness coordinator meeting with Mark as testing her ability to recognize Mark and for that to bleed back into her outie, right? It's like
because we see her kind of walk.
Her actual outie is like, I haven't seen Mark in years. I hope he's okay. I miss him. That's what she wants to get back to when she tries to escape. And we know that she has seen Mark as Miss Casey and doesn't remember him. But
that's right. And they tell her that she's that he's moved on. He's had a kid. I loved her just not even really sneaking up on this guy, just clobbering him with the chair. Like
big
his
bonk on
back,
the head.
his back isn't even fully to her.
Yeah.
He's just not really paying attention. It seems quite easy for her to have done.
Yeah.
I think also in the kind of previously on Severance, they bring up the fact that Devon sees that woman who uses her severed innie to have her children, so then she doesn't have to deal with the pain of childbirth.
Yes.
Like there's a through line to this as well, right? Like it's like
yeah.
we're going to do these medical experiments on you, these like emotionally harrowing experiments on you, so then we can see how it reflects in your
the broader it's not just for, hey, wouldn't it be great to not have to go to work? It's for like everything in your life that you
if you're
don't want to deal with.
afraid of flying, switch to your flying innie, so you don't have to experience the flight. If you don't like the dentist,
and so the idea that they would convince Mark that his wife is dead to convince him to like, it's not about him having the procedure for the job. It's about him. It's about him being able to like block out this trauma, which is like kind of ties into what she's doing on that
testing floor.
On that testing floor. Yeah.
I think that's certainly what I got from it. It was because there was so much new stuff and there was a lot to take in and the procedures and all of that. But it very much seems like creepy Dr. Mauer, I think. He's putting her through all these fucked up situations to test the sort of the threshold, the barrier of the severance procedure.
And he seems to have some weird emotional tie
to
her innie as well.
Yeah. Which could be like a doctor and their subject. It develops over time because it's been years.
Because we also do see, as she's walking through that corridor, we see all these rooms that she goes into has names. One of them has Cold Harbor on it. Someone, I think it might have been in our Discord actually, pointed out that she walks past a room called Allentown, and like in the first season, they mentioned that Mark's just recently completed that one.
Yes.
So these all being, so there definitely is a link to like what they are doing on the severed floor in that office does tie into what she is experiencing or doing
Mark
in those
is
rooms.
at 98% on Cold Harbor.
Yes.
In this episode.
Because I kind of thought, just like not doing too much fucking red string on the wall, that if she is going in there and having these experiences and there is some residual, whatever, trauma, that the data refiners are removing that trauma. Like the numbers are scary, like who knows how that works, but there is some interaction with the severance chip where they are cleaning up that sort of leftover emotion. But it doesn't make sense if she hasn't been to Cold Harbor yet, unless the timeline is purposefully skewed, right?
Well, I was thinking maybe it is she's doing these rooms as Mark is completing them.
Right.
Because she doesn't know how long she's been in there. And so if Mark hasn't completed Cold Harbor yet, maybe she hasn't been in there yet.
Yeah. I think that's a reasonable conclusion based on what
I don't know. I was so tired, dude.
No, but I think
sometimes I miss Succession because I just want to see someone call someone a cunt. Storm into an office building and be like, "This is my company now."
Hey, fuckles.
I do think, like, as much as like we learned a lot of stuff, we learned that it is Gemma. She's been down there the whole time. All that stuff. All of that new stuff just raised more questions. So I do think it's like, well, it could be this, it could be that. They haven't told us explicitly, so we will just find out as we continue to watch the show.
Honestly, anytime Deacon Lockman, who plays Gemma, is on, a dream.
She's fantastic.
She's great.
Yeah,
she's so good.
Yeah.
She's only really done sci-fi before. I can't remember the series she was in before this, but it was one of those ones where it was really big, like Altered Carbon. That's the one.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like one of those ones where if you know, but then I feel like she's kind of having this crossover moment. I just hope we get to see her in more stuff that's a bit out of the like sci-fi realm and more into just mainstream stuff. I'd love to see her just take on some bigger kind of characters.
Because she did Dollhouse, which was also sci-fi. That was the Whedon show. Obviously Neighbours, a classic character on Neighbours. But I've this has got to be like an Emmy submission episode, right? Like it's so good. And for her as like a series regular getting this massive meaty episode, I would be surprised if she doesn't get more stuff. Cause
it was cool
so
like
good.
watching the like previously on, and there's like just all this shit from the beginning of season 1 about her and being like, oh, okay, here we go. This is going to be a real left turn. They're not really showing us any stuff from just like the last episode.
Right.
It's all just like going right back. Even just like, Mark at one point talking about trying to have kids was like, oh fuck, all right, this is a bit of a deep cut from, but yeah.
Do you know what I think about when I watch this episode too? It's like, what a sick day at work for Adam Scott.
Yeah.
Just have a nap.
Yeah.
Have a nap on the couch. The girlies are talking. Have a nap
So
on the couch.
That's kind of the only thing we haven't touched on. Yeah, he wakes up at the end.
Yep.
Ragabi and Devon kind of get into a disagreement. Devon's like, we got to call Cobell. Ragabi's like, she's Egan through and through. No way. If you do that, I'm out.
Yeah.
And she bails, and Devon does end up calling her, right? Like we see her on the phone.
We see it calling.
know.
I don't think we see. Like we don't see her pick up. We don't see the resolution of that. I don't.
It certainly seems like she's going to though, because she doesn't really stop Ragabi and go, oh, okay, in that case I won't. Like she just,
that's true.
Also, Ragabi has a habit of just showing up. So like, she'll just show up or be in the basement or whatever. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like if she really feels like, this isn't going to happen, she'd come back or stay.
Yeah.
And the escape. Gemma, you did mention she waxed the doctor with a chair. Fucking great scene with all those motion activated lights on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh boy, very tense, very, very cinematic. But yeah, essentially gets to the elevator. She's like, cool, I'm out. And then, no, you're on the 7th floor. Milchick sends her back down.
Get back in.
Clearly some fear on her face. But also she's like, well, like, yeah, I guess I'll... Oh, and he implies that she's going back up as well, which is the bruise.
Because also when she comes out, right, is it the lift that Irving's done the drawings of?
Yes.
It's that one, right?
Yeah, the testing floor lift.
So we know now, like, exactly where that leads to, and
Yes.
Yeah.
I just love the idea that below the 7th floor, you're unsevered. Then you go up into the 7th floor, and then you go up again, you're unsevered again. Like, I love seeing the way this building kind of structures the way as we watch it.
Yeah.
I think that's so interesting, just giving a sense of space.
I think also,
it.
Thinking ahead to, like, how they're going to get her out. Like, even if Mark is reintegrated and gets down there, there's going to be a point where she changes over, and it's going to be a monkey wrench in the whole works. So yeah, I also thought that was setting up like a nice, good little like logic problem for them to figure out down the track. But great episode.
Hell of an ep.
Deacon Lackman was great. I listened to the Severance official podcast episode about it. Highly recommend that. Really good amount of extra information. They talked to Jessica Lee Gagne as well. Just a lot of extra behind the scenes stuff there. But I'm very curious to see what the fuck happens by the end of this season.
Yeah. How many episodes do we have left?
We got
3, I think,
3
right?
more.
It's 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, I am a little at this point, like it's been, such a success this season around again. Like, it's the most watched Apple TV thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that, it's interesting because surely they want it to go for a long time.
Right.
Or they want to get as much as they can out of it. But I do think a lot of this stuff that they're setting up, like, there just really is a shelf life on it. Like,
Yes.
I don't want 3 more years of mysteries being pulled. You know what I mean? At a certain point, I want to know that they know that the end is in sight and they're just, like, building to that. I do feel like this is the kind of show where I'm loving the ride at the moment, but, I wouldn't want to have all the stuff answered at the end of this season and then season 3, episode 1, it's like all of a sudden, oh, who's that? What's that? What's that thing down there? You know what I mean? Like, just being in this constant cycle of it. Like, happy to have some questions answered and then some new little ones come up, but it just does feel very finite. And I hope that there's that balance where creatively they probably know when to get out, but also Apple doesn't have much else in terms of stuff on their platform. So.
Yeah, I know.
So apparently, this is according to the Severance Reddit.
Yes.
Severance season 3 is already underway, says Ben Stiller. Not officially greenlit, but writer's room is underway.
Okay.
So I guess what it would be is they would go to the network then and be like, okay, so this is what we're thinking for season 3.
Yeah.
And
there's no way they won't get greenlit. Like, for sure, after the success of this one, at the very least one more. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're having those conversations now of like, all right, do we just do one more worth of these? Could we string it out for another?
It was funny
2?
too.
I don't know.
On the Oscars red carpet, Amelia de Moldenberg asked him if they'd ever do like a Severance movie, and he was like, "It's too character driven. Like, it's too the internecine kind of details of everything." He's like, "I don't think we could answer everything or contain everything in a movie."
Sure.
And I'm like, yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. There's so many threads, and you need 10 hours to pace it out, not 2.5.
Yeah.
I did see separately. We often have talked about, Tommy, the fact that Danny McBride and Jodie Hill have been like, we'll just keep making the Righteous Gemstones until we run out of ideas. They've announced the final season is the next season. So
Hell
okay, so you ran out of ideas. That's fine. That's cool.
4's a good number though.
Four's a great number.
It's rare that you can get, your absolute dead set bangers have been able to hit 6 or 7, but like for a really good show, like 4's a good point to tap out, especially for a comedy series where like, I mean, Breaking Bad was having to like fucking blow up a hospital and stuff to like keep that juice going. Like, not every show has stuff like that in the tank where they can,
Gemstones is good too because they heighten every season, but just in one small way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like Coen Brothers type of thing where it's just like one thing goes wrong and just everything unravels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm on the same page as you, Tommy. I feel like, wrap this up in a season. Don't. And it's not a network, at least. It's, it's streaming, so maybe they'll keep the actors on contract or something.
I could totally imagine it being like, hey, look, we don't want to take the piss and have this show, get run into the ground and delete all the goodwill we have, but definitely like this team. Hey, here's some more money. Do whatever the fuck you want for another series. I think it'll definitely be that if Apple are smart, like not so much this show, see it out and then throw more money at this team to make another thing.
I do feel like as well, increasingly with that kind of prestige TV, they do go in knowing that there is a limit to how many seasons. Like even with the Succession TV series, they were like, we're not going to run, like we can't do this forever. Like it's just not going to work. Yeah, we got to get in and get out. I think that I hope that they would have the good sense with this. I feel like artistically the taste level is right. That they're not going to be like, we're going to do season 11. It's like Severance babies or whatever. Like,
Even
Severance
something like
Elementary.
Even something like White Lotus, you're sort of saying like, 3 seasons in, there are a lot of people out there being like, this is just kind of more of the same stuff about rich people, like you're the beloved darling for a bit, and then you people's expectations get so high, especially now with these prestige shows. They're able to take a bit of time in between seasons, which is great to be able to feel like you're getting it right, but it does just lead to the expectation being so high, which is what's so crazy about this season of Severance. I was a little like, felt like, man, they've really had some time to make it cook, but also, I don't know, we've been waiting a long time for these questions to be answered. Like, yeah.
And they won't be fully answered.
No.
Like, they won't.
No.
And that's why they're in the writer's room right now, because they've set themselves up problems to be solved in the next season if it goes ahead, but just enough that they can dismount if they don't.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I feel tired when I watch these. I'll be honest, I love Severance. I'm enjoying it. I do feel very tired watching this and watching White Lotus.
Yeah.
And I really do recommend the reunion episodes of Real Housewives of Potomac.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Just to give you a rundown, one of the ladies was done for a DUI at the beginning of the season. And throughout, I think 20 episodes is like, it's a lie. It's a lie. I'm going to defend it. It's a lie. First reunion. She's not there. Where is she? In rehab. Why? Because they released the fucking body cam footage of her when she's arrested. She is drunk as hell.
Yeah, nice.
And in the entire season, she's like attacking people, being like, I don't have a drinking problem. How dare you?
Fuck yeah. Okay, that rules.
Yeah.
Skip the season, watch the reunions. Last 3 episodes of Real Housewives of Potomac this later season. Really good.
Beautiful.
Really good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Real palate cleanser after very cerebral TV.
Oh, yeah, I've been watching If You Are the One, the Chinese dating show.
Oh, sick.
Oh, yeah.
Also perfect palate cleanser. Just one thing before we end off. The last thing Ben Stiller did was a 1-season show. Escape at Dannemora. I've never seen it.
Me either. He keeps mentioning it on the pod. And keen to check it out.
And it's like, brother,
Dude.
get over it.
My sister Rosie watched it and loved it, and has, been kind of on me to watch it. But it was 1 season. It was one and done. At least Ben Stiller doesn't seem like wanted to drag it out. That was the story, and the story got told. And I think it was like, I know Benicio del Toro was in it. Like, again, a pretty big cast. Like, in terms of big names, people might want to move on and do movies and shit.
True.
Like,
Yep.
I know that happened with Game of Thrones, and then most of the actors in it didn't really. I mean, I know Kit Harington is in Industry, which you love, Tommy. But there is often that desire after a show peaks. The cast are all like, well, I want to go make movies and get paid.
Well, yeah, or people are like, depending on what their contracts are, they're like, yeah, I'm leaving the show. And so it's like, well, okay, well, this, now we've got to write this character out. And yeah, I mean, Adam Scott's got to get back to doing his Billy Joel podcast with Scott Aukerman.
I know. I can't believe we've been waiting so long between drinks for you talking you two to me. But
fuck, it really is so funny thinking about someone who's like maybe a little younger, maybe they weren't around when Parks and Rec was out, and then just really being into this show and looking up this guy and finding 10 years worth of podcasts of him being the biggest fuckhead of all time, talking about U2, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Talking Heads, R.E.M. and Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Fuck. What a gift for that person discovering all of that.
What a true dork. It's so good. He's
really
a big
is.
dork. It's so nice.
Yeah.
And also to be like, hey, Ben Stiller, everyone loved the first season of the show. You know what we need? Podcast.
Yeah. We got to do a pod.
You gotta let me pod on this, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we better leave it there for this mammoth episode.
Yes. Thank you for letting us pod.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.